Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary in Northborough. If you haven't seen this show before, my name is Art Bergeron. I'm an attorney. I do nothing but elder law, and we're doing these shows. I started doing these shows to really help you here in Northborough kind of acquaint yourselves with the people and programs that you, like my friends Frank and Mary, who live in Northborough, I bet you didn't know that, need to know about in order for them to be able to stay in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard, which is Frank and Mary's goal. So all of the people and the programs you need to know about as a senior to help you live a better life in Northborough. And because my friend Kelly Burke from the Senior Center knows all of those people, she is my co-host for this show and also invites all the guests and has a terrific guest for you today, and really appropriate guest given the fact that it's October and it is, what is it called? Open enrollment season.
Yes.
At Medicare. So Kelly.
Yes, well, I'm very happy to be here, Arthur, and I'm thrilled that Sue Goellner, who is our Shine Counselor, is able to join us today because she is fully into Medicare open enrollment right now at the Senior Center. We have two Shine Counselors, Pauline O'Bray and Sue, so we're very fortunate, and I'm anxious for people to learn more about Shine through Sue.
And these are volunteer positions, right?
Yes, they are.
These are good citizen positions.
Right, they're all volunteer positions. We don't have any affiliation with any of the drug companies, with any of the medical plans. It's all volunteer, it's all unbiased.
You're not getting a commission.
There's no commission.
You're not getting paid, right? There's no secret person behind the screen. So can you tell us how you came to be willing to do this, which is really wonderful?
Well, I retired several years ago, and I wanted to do something to give back to the community, to do some type of volunteer work that I felt that I could help maybe someone, you know, and so I looked at several different options for volunteers. And
now, I'm curious, what did you do before?
I retired from General Dynamics as the Director of Ethics.
And you were there for a while?
Almost 30 years.
That's great. That's great.
So once I retired,
and you wanted to do something
I did. I wanted to give something back. It's something that's always been in my family, that you give back. That, you know, if you've been fortunate enough to have a really good life, then you have the opportunity to give back. You give back. So I read an article in the local paper that they were looking for volunteers for the Shine program. So I investigated that and was accepted into the training program. Once the training program was completed, you have to take a certification, which is done yearly.
And by the way, can you just tell me about the training program? Because I always hear that Shine counselors are trained, but I never kind of...
Well, you have
you probably know all of this stuff, but I think this is really interesting.
It's great information.
You really have to understand what Medicare is, what the different parts are for Medicare. There's really 4 parts to Medicare. Medicare A is for your hospitalization. Medicare B is for your doctor's visits, your lab work, your physical therapy. And then Medicare A and B only pay 80% of your costs. So a lot of people will look to pick up a supplement insurance, which will help to pay the difference of the 20%. So you have Medigap plans, which are private plans. You also have Medicare Advantage plans, which are supplemented by Medicare. And those plans have drug plans with them. Because they're supplemented, they're less expensive than the private plans through Medigap. But there's a lot of pros and cons on why you would pick one over the other one, and that's one of the things that they'll help train you on, is to understand all of the different programs that are available. You have to understand people who may qualify for mass health assistance. They may qualify for Prescription Advantage. Through Social Security, they have a program called Extra Help. So it's kind of the job to learn everything about the different systems and where to go to get information, and how to help people understand what the process is and what they need to do to become Medicare friendly.
So that's a ton of training.
That's a lot of training. It's really outstanding that there's so many people that become Shine counselors and do all that training.
It takes, the training course usually goes about 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, you have to be certified after that. And then there's a monthly meeting that you should go to in order to keep up. And they always have speakers at these meetings.
Yeah.
So anything new that's coming out, they can tell us what's happening with Mass Health, with Prescription Advantage, with changes in insurance plans. So it's pretty busy, and you have to be willing to give a lot, because it takes time.
And it doesn't stop. You have to keep getting recertified.
Right, every year you have
Because the
to-
game keeps changing.
That's right. So,
So it's October, and I think a lot of people associate this time because typically they're thinking, oh, at Medicare, I'm on Medicare. But the thing that's constantly changing is the drug program.
yes, it is.
So could we really kind of talk about the drug program? Now, is enrollment open now for the drug program, or is it started?
Yes, open enrollment is from October 15th to
Yeah.
December 7th.
Yeah.
And you should definitely review your drug plan every year. Make an appointment through your senior center. You can call 1-800-AGE-INFO, and they'll connect you to a SHINE counselor or a center that has SHINE counselors at it.
So that's a universal number. That's like
Yes, it
that's
is.
all around Massachusetts. You just call that number.
Yes.
1-800-AGEINFO.
Correct.
And I bet that our friends here at this cable station will actually put that on as a banner.
Okay.
So that it'll probably be near your name as we're talking during this show, right? So that's that's an important piece.
Sure. It is an important piece, because I think sometimes people don't realize that the drug companies change their plan every year. And one year they might cover your drug, and the next year they don't cover your drug, or they put it in a different tier, so that maybe you were paying $2 for it, and now they've changed the tier and you're paying $10 for it.
And
They can do that.
And how many plans are there out there now? About?
For the drug plans, I believe this year we have almost 30. So for just drug plans.
Yeah.
And then there's 7 health insurance plans in the Medigap field, and then in the Medicare Advantage plan, those are like HMOs.
Yeah.
I believe there's 7 primary companies, and under them they probably each have 6 or 7 different types of policies that you can look at.
So can we start off just talking about the drug ones?
Sure.
So how do you like for a person coming in who's saying, well, how do I figure out? How do you figure it out? Because you've got a ton of plans.
Right. Well,
How do you even start figuring out how to deal with that?
there's you go to Medicare.gov,
Yeah.
and there's an online system that you can use, and it says find a drug plan.
Yeah.
We ask anybody that comes in to please bring a list of their drugs, all of their medications.
Oh, I see.
And then we'll enter them into this system, and then go in, and it'll pull up all of the plans that are available, and it goes from the best plan and then to the most expensive plan. So you have to look to see if the drugs are covered by this plan, whether there's any restrictions on the plan. Some drugs, you need prior authorization from the doctor before the prescription company will cover this particular drug. Some of them have, they make them try another drug first, and if that doesn't work, step therapy, that's called. And if that
And typically the other one is probably a generic or something
Yes.
that they're going to try to see if it works.
So sometimes they'll try to push people into doing that, to try it, to see whether or not they can tolerate it. So once you have all of that information in there, then you can begin to look at the plans. Some people buy all their drugs through mail order, so it's very important for them that the plan has a mail order capacity.
Oh, because some don't?
There are a few plans that do not have mail order, so if that's important to you, then that says, okay, so we don't look at any of those, we eliminate them. Some people don't want a deductible. The deductible for 2019 is going to be around, most of them are $415, so that means come January 1st, when your new plan starts, you're going to be hit with a $415 deductible.
I see. No matter so it isn't like it's like a percentage of each purchase. No matter what you're buying, starting January 1 until you get to the top of the deductible, then the insurance company isn't covering anything.
If it has to be a tier 3 or above for the deductible to kick in. Tier 1 and tier 2 are mostly your generic drugs, and those do not count as part of your deductible. So it's usually a tier 3 drug.
I see.
And
And across all of those policies, does everybody agree as to what a tier 1 and a tier
no, they
2
don't.
drug is? No?
No.
They can change that too?
Each company can determine what tier level they want their drug to be. You could look for, just trying to think of one of them, Listatin, which is a, and so Aetna said.
So like the blood pressure. I was thinking of that as a blood pressure drug. This-
So Aetna says, oh, this is a tier 2 drug for us, and this is going to cost you $10 a month. Then you could look and you could go to SilverScript, and SilverScript says, oh, we keep that as a tier 1 drug. It'll either cost you $0 or $1 per month. So it can vary from drug plan to drug plan what they charge, and they can do that. There's no ruling against that.
So no normal human being could figure this out.
So it's our superhero is here to do that, but I think that's the really nice
This is the
service
message here,
is
yeah.
that
You
you know
can't figure it out.
with the health plans and with the
Right.
drug plans, you have somebody like Sue who can lay it out there for you and compare those so that you can make an informed decision. And again, they're volunteers, they're unbiased, and so you're going to get great service.
And they're there, yes, and they're there. So can you just talk about, because I want to get back to the Advantage and some of the other stuff. Can you just talk about what the outreach is at the senior center, or like, do you have a day? Are you always there? Are there actually programs how does that work during the season? Because I bet that it must come up every year, right?
Open enrollment's
Right now,
there
yeah.
every year at the same time, but Sue and Pauline are there all year round
Sue and
for people.
Pauline.
And O'Bray is our other
The other
shine
shine
counselor,
counselor. I see.
and they are there all year long. Now they have
see.
more appointments during open enrollment because we
Right.
have more demand for that then. So we're running appointments every day. So with one or both of them, so they'll both be there tomorrow.
I see. And for that, if they're trying to make an appointment, so where do they
You
where
can
do they call for that?
They can call the senior center, 508-393-5035, and make their
Yeah.
appointment with Sue or
And that's
Pauline.
another one of those banners that's going to show up, okay?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Those will always be there. And then is there any kind of a program that just kind of talks about this stuff in general, like a seminar or something that you do that everybody gets involved?
We have done that in the
Just
past.
wondering.
We've done, Pauline has helped us out, and Wayne Wertinen, who is a past Shine counselor, also
Yeah.
from Northborough. A lot of people need that kind of presentation when they're turning 65, because that's when you join into the Medicare
Right, the world.
plans. Yes,
special-
the world of Medicare.
The world of
yes.
Medicare, just to help people start
And so
figuring it out.
that's been very helpful.
Yeah.
There's, we've talked about it a lot, Arthur. It's those baby boomers are the highest population group. That's us.
Us.
Yep,
That's
we're
right.
part of it.
That's a pretty amazing
and
thing.
of course, there's a lot of people that are turning 65 and need to know more about Medicare. So we've done that as well. But that if somebody is interested in
Yeah.
more information about that, 3 months before their
Yes.
birthday, they should be calling for an appointment with a Shine counselor.
Because even before they get on Medicare, because the
Right.
first one must be the worst one when you're first doing it. 'Cause
Right.
What is this stuff about?
I think it's just really overwhelming because a lot of times people will assume when they retire at 65 that they might have had group health insurance for the company they worked for. Well, now they come in and they're turning 65, but their wife is or husband is already over 65. So now you both have to go on to Medicare. And they're single plans. There's no longer group family plans. So sometimes people say, oh, we can't have the same insurance. I said, well, you can have the same health insurance, but your drug plans will differ depending on what type of medication you take.
But right, and they're not. I hadn't even thought of that. So I'm old, right? So I'm going to be 69 in January, and my wife turns 60. Oh, I won't say. My wife is a few years younger than me.
Problems,
Yes.
We're not going to go there, right? But the fact that we've each got to be on our own, because right now I'm still in the company, right?
Right.
But and so we're actually trying to figure that out. So at what point is the company pays for some of the plan now, but it's really expensive, right? So at what point is the percentage that we're paying of that plan more expensive than figuring out all of
Right.
this stuff through Medicare, right?
Right, and that's why we tell people, if you come in 3 months ahead of time, make sure you talk to your Human Resources Department to
Yeah.
see if you have any type of retirement health insurance, and if so, what's the cost going to be to you? So when they come in, then we can say, okay, you're fine. Your group health, your retiree insurance is going to cover you.
Yeah.
You have a drug plan, you're good. But then you have other people who say, no, my company doesn't have any retirement group health insurance. So you have to really start from the beginning. Like, you have to apply for your Medicare A and B. It doesn't just come to you. You have, and before you can apply for a supplement health insurance, you have to have your Medicare card. And sometimes that can take 3 to 4 weeks before you'll get your card. So we tell them, apply for that right away. And then you can take your time determining what extra insurance you want, what drug plans you want. It'll give you a little leeway. But don't come in the day you turn 65 and want to sign up for everything.
Right, right.
And both Sue and Pauline see couples together because, of
Yes.
course, it's an important decision.
You don't take
for
them into
both.
separate rooms and kind of...
No,
Togetherness.
until they find out their health insurance plans are not necessarily together.
That's right, that's right. And then they're getting mad. So you do couples counseling at the end of this? That's great.
There's only so much training, right?
Right.
But you have to have a person who's got the right disposition kind of going into
Absolutely, and we are so fortunate. Sue and Pauline are great, but I have, as you know, great volunteers. I have great staff, and so that's what we're always trying to welcome people into the senior center for these kind of resources. And,
just for this kind of thing.
yeah, exactly.
So now can we talk a little bit about about Medicare Advantage? Because I think that is for many people, the most baffling thing. I just read this, statistics, last week in the Times. They said that nationally, the number of people who have gone to Medicare Advantage plan over the last 10 years has moved from something like less than 20% of everybody to like over 30% of everybody. So the shift from standard Medicare A and Medicare B into Medicare Advantage is like really significant, But people, first of all, often have no idea how any of this works, and then have no idea of any differentiations among those Medicare, what I would think of as Medicare C plans. It's Medicare C, the
Right.
Advantage plans. Can you just talk about that a little bit, about kind of, first of all, how it works? As you had mentioned, you talked about it's really kind of like an HMO. So how does it work? What is a kind of the essence of a Medicare C plan? And if you could just talk a little bit about, from your own perspective, what are some of the differences people might be looking for among those plans? Because as opposed to Medicare A and B,
Right.
and I know from my limited knowledge, right, that one of the requirements of the Advantage plans is they have to at least deliver all the Medicare A and Medicare B things, right?
Right.
But then there are other things.
Right.
So can you just kind of talk about that?
Sure. A Medicare Advantage plan, when we talk to people about that, the one thing we stress is that before you pick a plan, you need to contact your doctors and be sure that they accept these plans.
Plan, because you have, as opposed to Medicare A and B, which everybody has to be, doctors have to take those.
Right. But the Advantage plans in C is to pick up the difference from what A and B doesn't pick up. So you need to really make sure your doctors are going to accept whatever plan you pick, whether it's Tufts or Blue Cross or AARP. Each medical practice will usually take one or two. Some of them will only take Tufts, some of them will take, say, Tufts and Blue Cross. So you need to make sure that your doctors are in one of these plans that you're thinking about taking. Because they're subsidized, their premiums go from $0 up to $200 a month.
Because they're subsidized.
They're
What does that mean?
subsidized by Medicare. They're not a private insurance company. They're supplemented by Medicare.
I see.
So they can offer lower
Well, that makes sense, because
plans.
Medicare is basically paying them what
Right.
they were going to be using to take care of your care.
Right.
Medicare is now paying an amount to these companies to do it.
Right, so it's a subsidized program. They're HMO plans, so the difference is you need to get referrals if you go outside of your network. If you travel to Florida for the winter, An Advantage plan is not going to be your best friend.
Because it doesn't travel with you.
It doesn't travel with you.
I see.
If
I
you're
see.
out of town for a couple of weeks and you have an emergency, yes, it does cover you for emergencies. But if you get the flu or a bad cold, it does not cover you for that. And if you say you were in Florida and you had a heart attack, yes, as an emergency services, your HMO or your Medicare Advantage plan will cover you. But when you get out of the hospital and need rehab or physical therapy or need to continue with a doctor, that's not covered. So I tell people, if you're going to do a lot of travel, if you think you're going to spend some months in Florida or California or any place, you need to be very careful to think about what type of a plan you want to get. Those type of people who travel a lot or who are going to be gone for 2 or 3 months, I would tell them that you should look at a Medigap plan. Now, these are private insurance companies, so there's no funding from Medicare on these, and they are more expensive. And they also need a supplement drug plan, where your Advantage plans, most of them include a drug plan.
Because the Medigap plan, this is once again my limited, I think, the way I've led to believe that I always think about Medicare B, that Medicare B, as opposed to the hospital Medicare A, which is the hospital.
Yes.
Medicare B typically is going to say, look at your doctor's bill and say, well, for that service, not what is your doctor's bill, but what's the ordinary and reasonable amount that would normally be paid for that service. And that's usually less. And then we're going to pay 80% of that.
Correct.
Right? And you're going to pay 20%. And the Medigap, it's my understanding, basically you're buying the insurance to pay the 20%.
That's correct.
Which is going to cover that
Yes,
piece.
it's going to cover that.
So it's really it's really built into the A and B system, as opposed to having anything to do with C. You know, it's
Right. It has, the Medigap plans have the flexibility because they'll cover you if you go out of state. They'll cover you for, if you spend 3 or 4 months in Florida, your insurance will cover you down there.
Right.
If you do foreign travel, your
They'll cover it.
Medigap plan will cover it. You don't have to have referrals. You can go to any doctor, any hospital. And a lot of people like that flexibility.
Yeah.
And a lot of people like the Medicare Advantage plans. If they're on a limited income, the monthly premiums can be very little. And if they don't go to the doctor very, very often, more than once or twice a year, paying a $20 copayment isn't that big of a problem for them. So they, prefer to use something like that. They don't mind getting referrals.
So I guess that was going to go to the next question. So if I'm a consumer, and once again I'm trying to figure this out.
Sure.
And by the way, can you change any time in and out from your regular Medicare A and B to a Medicare C or a Medicare Advantage plan? Or is that, or can you, let me put it this way, during an enrollment period every year, can you move from one to the other?
During the open enrollment period, you can change your subsidy medical plan. You can change from Medicare Advantage to a Medigap plan.
I see.
You can drop them. You can change your drug plan. You can only change your Medicare Advantage plan once a year between October 15th and December 7th.
So once again, it's like right now. And if I'm a consumer, why would I think of doing a Medicare Advantage? I understand there are some good reasons not to, like from what you've just explained. If you're traveling, that's really dangerous. And by doing one of these plans, I'm more limited because you've told me I can. Maybe my doctor will take
Right.
but maybe not, right? So why would I want to do it? Why would?
It's usually it's a cost benefit.
It's a cost, but I don't usually pay much in Medicare.
Well, you pay deductibles. There's a deductible if you were in the hospital. It's around $1,800.
Yeah.
If your deductible for B is $183. So those are upfront expenses that you would have to think about paying. You could have a Medicare Advantage plan that you only pay $0 per month for, so there's no cost
As
to you.
opposed to Medicare, where there's that automatic deduction.
Right.
I see.
So
And that's a monthly charge.
yes, it is. It's just
that could be a couple $1,000.
It could be. Some of the Medigap plans are close to $200 a month.
Yeah.
So the Gap plans give you freedom, but they're private, so you're going to pay more for them. And some people feel it's just too expensive. Others, they want the flexibility of going to any doctor in any hospital. And certainly with an HMO, through the Medicare Advantage plan, you can see other doctors, but you have to go through the referral
You have
process.
to go through the referral. Now, from your experience, because once again, you're not being paid by anybody, so you can talk
Right.
freely here. From your experience among those Medicare Advantage plans, from the folks that you deal with, you said there were a bunch that are out there.
Yes.
Do you see that there are most people use one or two who are around here? And from your experience, is there a plan that really looks better than others? Or are there plans that really look better than others?
Well, I think that's really an individual, each individual person might say, I've had Tufts all my life. I want to continue with Tufts. I have Blue
see.
Cross Blue Shield. I want to stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
And they must all have these, right? They must
Yes,
all.
yes, they do. And Tufts, their Medicare Advantage plans are a 5-star rating. That's the highest rating you can get in the state of Massachusetts. They have it, and Blue Cross Blue Shield has it this year. So we always tell them that these are the best rated plans. They might have 7 different types of sub plans that you could look at. Some of them, you have a $0 per month copayment, but when you go to the doctors, you pay $25. If you paid $79 a month for your Medicare Advantage plan, you'd pay $10 when you went to the thing. So it's really a money angle, and what people feel they're comfortable with in paying.
And if folks come to you to talk to you about these plans, are you doing some of those numbers for them?
We try
Because so
to-
often that's
right.
this is a great way to understand it. That this is about the dollars.
Right.
I often talk to clients about when they're thinking about Mass Health and other things. I say this is about the math. We
Right.
talk about the theory about this, but this ultimately somebody's got to do the math.
Right.
And find somebody to do the math that you trust. Right.
Right. And I try to talk to them and say, like, do you go to the doctors every month? Are you healthy and you only go once or twice a year?
Yeah.
Do you have physical therapy? I mean, because each one of these things are going to cost you money. So, and I try to go through and show them, like, if you need lab work, you're going to pay 20% of the cost, or you're going to pay $25. Or if you're going to see a specialist, it could be $40. So if you see a cardiologist 2 or 3 times a month, or twice a month, every month, let's look at plans where the cardiologist, which would, not be your primary care physician, it's going to, be outside of that. Let's see what we can find that might be better for you.
That's really interesting. So it's another one of those reasons why you got to relook at it every year, because
Absolutely.
it isn't, now that you explain it, it isn't just about doing the math, it's about your situation may have changed.
Right.
And you actually have this ability, no matter what your situation is, to drop in and out of these, to move.
Right.
You
Right.
can move from Advantage to straight A and B once a year, depending on your situation.
Right, you can always stay with just A and B, but then you're going to pick up the cost of the 20%.
Right.
And I just try to tell people, think what would happen if you were in the hospital for 3 or 4 days. That's tens of thousands of dollars, and you're going to be responsible for 20% of that. So hopefully you'll never be in the hospital, but if something happens and
That's why they call it insurance.
Right.
Because you don't know. You don't know.
it's there in case. It's
Yeah.
not, hopefully you won't have to use it, but if
Right.
you do, and you have money put aside for something like this, and you're comfortable with that, that's great. This is the plan for you. But we never tell anybody what plan they should take. We try to give them as much information as we can. And sometimes I'll say to them, you know what, take all of this away, think about it,
Think about it.
and then come back.
Right.
And we can sign you up for whatever you need to sign up, because sometimes it is overwhelming. It's a lot to try to absorb.
It's a lot.
It's
And
a
as you
lot.
say, the takeaway is, thank God we've got Sue.
Yes, absolutely.
And her
S-
partner.
Sue and
And-
Pauline.
And that you can come in and it's free, right?
It's
To ta-
confidential.
and it's confidential, right?
Right,
And you
yes.
can even stay for lunch because you
Then
got a
it'd be
great,
a
Oh,
great
that's
idea
because you
to
got
stay
a
for
great,
lunch
yeah,
for
you got a
bistro.
great lunch program.
Yes.
And you can figure it out. And the fact that you're on one track now, I think that's the other big takeaway. It does not mean you need to stay on that track or that that's even sensible, because your condition may have changed.
Right.
And your drugs may have changed, your needs for these other things, And it's all about every year doing the math over,
Right.
which is just a wonderful thing to know,
Right.
and to know that you don't have to do the math yourself.
Right.
For us,
Right.
so lawyers, many lawyers became lawyers because they couldn't do the math, right? That was, when my son tries to talk science with me, I go, no, Joe, that's why I became a lawyer, you know? So it's really, really handy.
Right.
This is really great.
It is
So-
great, and we've heard all the great things that Sue can cover, and then we have another resource as well, and that's the Mass College of Pharmacy right in our backyard.
Yes.
And they're a wonderful resource for the Part D. So as Sue was saying, you might be happy with your health plan and not
Right.
want to change A and B or
You
any
don't
of
have to
those
change,
things.
right.
Right.
But you may want to look at your formulary, at the drugs, at your prescriptions to make sure that your health plan hasn't changed anything or your drug plan hasn't changed.
I was going to say,
So-
especially because they could just change it on you. What you thought was the right drug
Exactly.
plan
you
this
need
year.
that checkup every year.
Yeah,
right?
it's almost
Right.
like that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
It's like a money checkup every year to make sure
Right.
that the system is right.
Right.
And Paula Evans is the Director of Outreach for Mass College of Pharmacy. So we have students from there that are going to become pharmacists or physician's assistants. They come with the faculty. They're coming to the Northborough Senior Center on November 6th, 5:30 to 7:30.
This is an ad. Well, this is going to
is-
be on
this is
there,
it.
November 6th, 5:30 to 7:30, right?
For those folks that are happy with their health plan, but they
Yep.
need that checkup on their Part D,
Right,
this
right.
is a great opportunity to do that. These, Mass College of Pharmacy did 1,200 of these last year. So, they've been doing it for years and they're experts in this.
That's great.
Pauline O'Bray, our other Shine counselor, will be in the room if a health plan question comes up during that time. But I really do encourage people to call the Senior Center 508-393-5035
That's
and
a link.
sign up
Yeah.
for Part D with the Mass College of Pharmacy on November 6th.
That's great.
Right, it's such a great program, and they have so much knowledge about people who take really expensive drugs, cancer drugs, heart conditions. They can help them try to find either some type of a grant to help them to pay for their drugs, or even coupons from the manufacturer that'll help defray some of the costs, and that they're great.
That's a big
at-
deal. Mass
at-
College of
big
Pharmacy is one of the great hidden gems of Central
Yes, it
Massachusetts.
is.
Yes, it
What
is.
they
It
give
really
to this
is.
area, and it's part of their mission. It's part of
Yeah,
their mission.
and they've
So,
done
but
that,
I'm watching my clock and I'm saying I think we're done. Thank you so much.
You're entirely
This was
welcome.
great.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
suggesting
Yes,
this.
it
This was
I'm
terrific.
very happy that Sue could join us.
And next month, I think we're going to try to talk to your outreach person because we're going to
Jocelyn
talk
Earhart.
Jocelyn. So thank you so much.
Entirely welcome, thank you.
And thank you for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next installment of Frank and Mary in Northborough. Thank you so much.